Welcome to Wasatch Weekends. I'm your host, Ben Roof. We've got a great show in store for you today, but first, a little bit of local news. The Midway Farmers Market is today at 10 a.m., and that's going to be at the Midway Town Square. It's every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and it's a fantastic event full of local artisans and fresh local produce, so be sure to check that out. Also today is the Flying Ace All-Star Freestyle Show at the Utah Olympic Park. It's a fantastic show with some crazy acrobatics that I'm sure you will enjoy. And that is going to be at 6:30. But on today's show, we're going to check out Tracy Miller in the kitchen making some fantastic tacos. And then we'll talk to the stars of the TNT wrestling sensation. And then we'll also be talking to Terry Sidford, a local author, about her new memoir. But let's take a quick look at today's weather.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Recipe today, especially because it's summertime and we are going to have the fresh of the freshest. So today we're doing potato tacos with a tomatilla salsa, and they're really fun. They're really unique in flavor, and this is going to be a recipe, a sauce that you'll probably keep with you because it goes with a lot more than just potato tacos. Okay, first things first, today we're going to use the oven because we are going to cook the tomatillas with some onions and jalapeno so that we get them nice and soft and they kind of burst. And the first thing I want to teach you, if you don't already know this, is use parchment paper whenever you are baking anything. Why? Well, first of all, you're going to get all the goodies. I know last time we talked about caramelization of veggies and meat in your pan. The caramelization is going to land on this parchment paper, and then you're going to be able to get it all into the blender. It's going to be really delicious, delicious. Thumbs up on that one. So parchment paper, it's expensive at the store, but it's worth every penny for dishpan hands. Okay, first of all, let's talk about tomatillas. They look like this, and you're going to see them all over the place right now. They're a fruit, I believe, because they have seeds in them and they're really kind of mushy. So what you do is you buy the tomatillas and then you have to peel the husk off. So you peel them off, peel them all the way off. Make sure you get that little middle stem out. Peel them all the way off. And when you're buying them, you kind of look at them like, okay, are they looking green? Have they kind of come apart from the fruit? Because that makes it a lot easier to peel. Sometimes they're stuck on there, but this time they weren't. So there you go. We're going to peel them. So we have about 6 of them right here. The thing about these guys is they're sticky. So right now my fingers are super sticky, and it's like, it's like sticky. Like I'm kind of faking that a little, but it's sticky enough to like hold your fingers there. So once you peel them, you need to wash them off. So I'm gonna go wash them under some warm water so I can get that sticky layer off. And you kind of need to get that sticky layer off of your hands as well. All right, not a big deal, just a quickie, just a quick little rinse so all that sticky stuff comes off. Now what we're going to do is we are going to quarter these big ones, okay? They're super juicy, so they're going to kind of burst in the oven. And sometimes if you're not paying attention, they get a little smoky too. So you really just want to kind of keep your eyes on them because it's like there's going to get a lot of liquid in them. These are a sour tasting fruit, and as you see the inside, see they've got all those little seeds and stuff like that. They're delicious, but they are a little sour tasting. So we're gonna counteract that with some of our sauce. So what we're gonna do is roast tomatillas along with about a half an onion. We have 6 tomatillas and about a half an onion. I'm just gonna chop these up so that it kind of cooks fast. I wanna mix it in with the tomatillas because the onions will cook a little faster, but the juice from the tomatilla will actually kind of keep the onions just cooking a little bit at a slower rate so that they don't burn and caramelize. Me, I'm a spicy girl. I need to have a jalapeno. I typically just put half a jalapeno right on there. I'm gonna cut off the stem. This is a biggie. This is a big one, so I'm gonna cut them in a couple of different pieces so that it cooks a little faster. And I cook it on the edge because not everybody likes jalapenos. And once you cook a jalapeno, they tend to get pretty darn spicy. It is my belief through experimentation that if you roast a jalapeno, it is gonna be more spicy than if you don't roast it, if you eat it raw. Okay, let's put a little bit of salt and pepper on here because we wanna season everything as we go. And we're gonna put a little tiny bit of olive oil. We don't need much because it's gonna be nice and juicy. The oven is at 400 degrees and we're just gonna pop this in for about 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm gonna send that right over there and then we're gonna talk about potatoes.
Welcome back to the show. Local author and podcast host Terry Sidford is starting a new book club called the Truth, Courage, Love Club, and that is going to start this Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. It's a virtual event, so you can attend from wherever you are. The book this week is Terry's new memoir, and Maddie Evans had the opportunity to speak to her a bit about that new book. So let's go take a listen to that interview now.
A woman who wears many hats just released an incredible book to help you find your true meaning of happiness, and that's Terry Sidford. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here because when I say many hats, speaker, author, podcast host, and a life coach, there's nothing that you don't do to help people really find their true enlightenment in this life.
Thank you. Wow, that's quite the introduction. I think that's been my life purpose, and I think I'm very lucky to have found that in my life. And to help other people is really what fulfills me. And I can relate to a lot of people because of what I've been through in my life. And my new book is my memoir. It tells every story about my life and how I had to overcome adversity to be strong. And that's why I can relate to most people. And I've been given a gift of learning from those lessons. And I turned trials into triumph. And I'm very proud of that in my life. And I want everyone to know that no matter what they've gone through in their life, that they can start over and that they can have a fulfilling life and a successful life. Just learn and grow from every experience. So that's really kind of the basis of it, with 3 concepts of truth, courage, love.
I was just going to say, so Truth, Courage, Love is your second book, but your first memoir. And I have so many questions only because what you did in this book is so inspiring. So what originally inspired you to write Truth, Courage, Love?
Well, I've been asked that one a lot. And really it's because I had a really big birthday last year, and it kind of made me think about my life and, how did I do so far? Is there still some lessons I need to learn? Am I at peace with everything? Am I proud? Have I left anything on the table? Is there anything else I need to do? And I sat there for a moment thinking, wow, I've had an interesting life, yet I am so proud of where I'm at and what I've learned. And now having a rough start, having a great ending to my 60 years. Yes.
You look amazing for being 60. No one would know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah. And it's even hard to say, but I'm proud. And now I want to give back. I really want people to know that no matter what happens, no matter what age you are, you can start again. Just learn, grow, and fulfill your potential at any time of your life. You can start over today in any moment. That's what I hope when you read my book, that you'll learn that, wow, she went through those things and she still was able to do the things that she's dreamed of doing or never even thought of doing in her life. And I really have a tremendous humbling appreciation.
Which is such an important message for so many people to have, no matter your age, no matter what you've been through, like you said, just to have that little bit of encouragement from someone like you is so empowering. And so let's talk a little bit about what the writing process was like.
Ooh, thank you. Interesting enough, which you'll read in my book, I was very, very insecure growing up from my childhood experiences, and I did not have any confidence. In fact, I remember going home and having to practice writing. I was very, I didn't do well in English or with my grammar. And someone asked me about my experience with coaching a lot of women and how strong they were. And I said, I know, they're so strong and they don't see it in themselves. And she said, well, why didn't you write a book? I looked at her like she was from, outer space. Like, no, I can't write a book. This is not me. And she said, Terry, I'm going to help you. So what I have learned in now my second book is that if you have a story or a message, you can get it out there and there's people that can help you. I just got this story out. I did a lot of writing and then I had someone help me with the grammar and making sure it's edited. And it's a beautiful process. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I know most people do have a story to tell. We all do. And so if I can write the book, which was hard. I mean, it's a lot of work. You have to be dedicated to it, but it's so worth it. So worth it.
Well, and it's so incredible for you to share your story now as you were writing this book, because it is talking about some hardship and it is giving that most vulnerable side to you. When you were writing it, did you have any moments of shock about how open you were being with the readers?
Yes, yes. Many, many times I thought, why on earth would I be telling this story? Or will people understand it? Or will someone be upset with this story? I mean, it's kind of the whole gambit. And I asked myself, well, it wouldn't be being truthful and honest if I didn't tell all the stories. And it's really what happened, and that's okay. And isn't it empowering to know that we can tell our stories and be okay with that? And we should be okay with that. And yes, so there's stories that were really difficult to tell, but I wanted to be transparent. I wanted to be honest. And I'm proud of that.
And your vulnerability is going to give so many other people strength. Just in having that kind of moment of comparison and that moment of truth that maybe you're going to help other people live, I think is so empowering. And so congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for being so wonderful to share all of this information with others.
Oh, you're welcome. It's really an honor for me. And I would just want to help everyone know that, you don't have to be defined by your past. You really don't. And you can turn trials into triumph. Just learn, grow, ask people for help. And you can still live the life of your dreams and your potential. That's the message I want everyone to know.
Which I think is such a wonderful message. Now, if people are interested, obviously, in reading your first book and your second book, where can they buy them?
On Amazon. You can just go to Amazon. You can either type in Terry Sidford, and that's Terry Sidford, and the title of my books, and they'll pop up. 100 Hearts spelled out, 100 Hearts, and Truth, Courage, Love.
Truth, Courage, Love sounds like the perfect book for maybe anyone going through some hardship. Now, you also have a great podcast, really giving people those extra stories for courage, to find their inner strength, and you really focus a lot on helping people find their true happiness. So let's talk a little bit about your podcast.
Well, I also started a group called Choose Courage Movement because I've started out kind of an expert with courage, and I wanted to share with the audience, or as many people as I can, these stories of courage. Because I think the more that we hear stories of courage through my podcast, and I try to have very interesting guests, is that the more we see it in ourselves. And the more that we see it in ourselves, the more courageous we become in a daily life. And so that's my whole goal. And it is so fun to find these amazing people and their amazing stories. So if there's anyone out there that feels like they do have an amazing story, I would love for you to contact me on that. I would love to interview on my podcast.
Which I think is so cool that you are giving people not only the platform to share their moments of maybe feeling their most courageous, but you're also giving people just that little bit of comfort, knowing that there are people going through similar things and enduring similar things. Now, you're also a life coach. So if people are interested in maybe just having the opportunity to talk with you and listen to your story a little bit more personally and have you give them those words of wisdom that you so generously shared in your book, how can they do so?
They can contact me on my website, which is Terry, Terry, Sidford, SIDFORD.com, terrysidford.com, and just reach out to me and we can have a consultation to see if this coaching is right for you. I'm here to just help anyone take things to the next level if they feel like there's something that's in the way. And really, it's a fun and exciting process. It's like having your cheerleader right next to you.
Which I think everyone needs. My mom always says that to me. She's like, just rally your inner cheerleader, Maddie, and you'll be fine. You'll get through it. And so I love to hear that, and I really love what you do. I think that having people like you in our community, in our lives, and just out there to spread the positivity and really just that like driving force forward to help people find their best selves is so powerful.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's really feels like a dream for me to be able to do what I feel like is my life purpose. And that's what I like to help other people find in their life. Because once you're doing what you love and what really lights you up and inspires you, then it's contagious. It's just like that ripple effect. It will affect everyone around you. So it's really why we should all live our potential and our purpose in life.
You are a beautiful force to be reckoned with. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy that I could have this time with you today.
We're really happy to have you, and we really do appreciate all the hard work that you do.
Thank you.
Make sure that you go on Amazon and you buy her book, and that way maybe you can share your stories as well, because it's a therapeutic way to find your inner courage. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back from the break, we've got more of the show, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to Wasatch Weekends. Tracy has been working on some fantastic vegetarian tacos, so let's go check in on our progress now.
So right now, let's get our pan. Let's start heating up our pan because we are going to add a few chopped up onions, which I actually already have my onions chopped up over there. We're going to add some carrots. I decided to put carrots in this recipe because what's going to happen is we are going to have a sour tomatillo salsa. That's what it is. It's pretty sour. So here, whenever you're cutting any kind of fruit or vegetable, you want to make sure you find a flat surface for that guy, okay? Because look, I'm trying to cut that. It's rolling all over the place. I'm trying to cut that. It's got a flat surface. So always just try to get a flat surface. We are going to cut everything about the same size. So we're going to cut these carrots just about maybe 1/4 of an inch is what that ends up looking like. So here we go. Flatten that out. Get my cutting board in a good spot too. You always have to make sure your cutting board isn't wiggling around. Sometimes when I'm teaching cooking classes and somebody has their cutting board like halfway on a plate or something and it's wiggling all around, I can't take it. Don't do that. You're going to hurt yourself. Make sure everything's flat. Make sure your knife is sharp, and make sure everything is out of the way. Okay, so put a little tiny bit of oil in your pan. Carrots are going to take a long time, so we're going to get those carrots right in here, right when the pan gets warm. So we've got some carrots there. Just going to do 1 carrot. Okay, so see my pan is moving around like this? I do not like that. So what I'm going to do is put down either a paper towel or a dish towel. That will give us kind of a nice spot so that we can actually have, like, see now it's not wiggling around a little bit. So if your cutting board is moving around, wet a paper towel, put it underneath it, or just use a dish towel and put it under there because we don't want anything wiggling around. Okay, so we have a little onion left over. Let's dice it up really small. We don't want too much onion because we're kind of getting carried away with the sauce and everything. So maybe just like the same amount as carrots. We do probably about 1/2 cup of carrots and 1/2 cup of onion. And then we're going to put, I can feel my pan is warming up a little. Let's hear. Oh, we got a little baby sizzle. So let's get that olive oil spread around. Got a little bit of a sizzle. Here we go. Those onions are sizzling up too. We're just going to kind of let those sit there and cook. Okay, those are going to sit there and cook away. Now we're going to get into our potatoes. And potato tacos, they're one of my favorites. But again, we're going to have to cut these little guys because we don't want them to roll around. And we want them to be cut pretty much the same size as everything else. Because when you're cutting something and you're cooking something, if you can cook them at the same rate, then that's perfect. Those carrots are going to cook a little faster, so they go in first. So with these, let's just cut them so that they are about, I say about a quarter of an inch or so. So however you can dice up your potato to get it to be about that size, because what's going to happen is it's going to cook really nicely, and we are going to have kind of a chunk in our taco. You know, we don't want them too small, but you don't want them too big. So just kind of cut them. This is called dicing. You just cut them as you can. Now that we have this roly potato, you could either do 1, 2, 3 layers right there to get the size, right? And then you have to, one of the things about healthy cooking is you will be chopping veggies all the time. All the time. If you want to cook healthy, having a whole fruit or veggie is the way to go. That's how you get the most nutrients. So if that is something that's important to you, start figuring out your best method to chop things and start recruiting your kids and your family, because that's really the only way that you can actually eat healthy. And even when you go to the grocery store, and I know sometimes you just have to cheat and buy the stuff that's already pre-cut, but that's already going to start to lose some of its nutrients. Right the second that you cut veggies, they start to lose their nutrients. So you have to be really careful if you're trying to be super duper healthy that you get things and you kind of cut them and then you eat them. Eat them right away, really. You don't want your fruits and vegetables to go bad too, because they're so expensive right now. It's ridiculous. So I have the yellow potatoes and the red potatoes. Red potatoes are a little more firm than the yellows, but I think we can mix them both in here, because we're going to also add some beans and stuff and make this kind of a really nice flavor. All right. Give these guys a stir. I can see that they're starting to caramelize a little, so that's nice. My pan is on a medium high, so I'm kind of cranking it a little to get that caramelization on these veggies. Do you see that those onions are starting to really brown up? I cut them really small. So once again, we're going to see that cutting things at different sizes is going to cook at a different rate. So those are cut a little small. I do like when the onions caramelize because they give it a really nice flavor. But now we're going to add the potatoes. So add those and spread them around your pan. You don't have to use your hands if that makes you nervous. Use your spatula. And then we're going to season them with salt and pepper. Not much though, because we're going to use taco seasoning for this to just really give it the taco flavor. So we don't want to put too much on it right now. I'm going to add another little splash of olive oil, or whatever oil you like to use. And we are going to let those kind of caramelize up. Now, a lot of people like to have vegetable tacos, and these are really just a great excuse to have some of the fresh fruits and veggies that are out there right now. The fresher that your vegetables are, the quicker they are going to end up cooking. So you can see that these are really good. They're already starting to brown a little. What I am going to do is put a little bit of water in there, and then I'm going to let them cook. We're going to cook that water down a little bit. So let me get about a half a cup of water. That'll just kind of help cook them a little faster. Kind of like you're boiling potatoes, right? Like we all do. So we're going to let those cook just a little bit. That'll start to soften them up. And it'll also start to bring out some of the natural starches in both the carrots and the potatoes. So we're going to start making it a little more saucy, which is nice. We are going to have a nice tomatillo salsa, but we are going to start making that a little bit. This get a little more cooked and a little more, I don't want to say gooey, but kind of gooey and just kind of stuck together a little bit. Okay, So we have the tomatillos in the oven at 400 degrees. They are with onions, a little salt and pepper, and some olive oil. Those are going to take about 20 minutes before they soften up. What we're going to need next is a blender, and this is we're going to blend that tomatilla salsa, and we are going to add a ton of cilantro. So cilantro is so good right now. And when you're working with cilantro, you can use the stems and the leaves. A lot of other leafy greens like parsley, you don't really want to use the stems, but with cilantro you can. I use it all the way up until like the very end, and at that part I'm just like, okay, that's going to take a lot of blending. I'll just get rid of those. So why don't we put a little bit of the cilantro in here. We're going to put the tomatillas in here once they're done cooking. We're just kind of pre-prepping. And then we do need some salt. Like, you need some serious salt with these tomatillas because they are sour as can be. So I'm going to put about a half a teaspoon of salt right in there. I'm also going to put a splash of lime juice. So if you're using a fresh lime, you'll use about half of it. If you're using this concentrated, you'll use about 2 teaspoons probably. And then I use a little bit of orange juice as well. And I just keep this in my fridge because I make salad dressing out of it. I use it for sauces. You can mix it with peaches if you want, if you need a little something acidic. It's really just kind of nice to have. And we're going to use about a tablespoon of orange juice in here to hopefully give us a little bit of that sweetness. It really depends on how sour those tomatillas are. Okay, so we have the cilantro, salt. I'm not going to put pepper in there because I'm really hoping for that jalapeno to go in here. But right now we have cilantro, salt, lime juice, orange juice. So we've got the acidic that we need in here, and also that cilantro, which is going to give it a beautiful green color. And if you notice over here, we have our potatoes, and everything is kind of starting to get that gooey kind of consistency together. So you can see that those starches are starting to come out, and they're starting to make it nice and consistent together. They're kind of, the flavors are all starting to meld together. So what we're going to do now is we are going to turn this down a little bit, because I got it cranked right now. You can hear that, right? That's the sound you want when you're cooking. You want to hear the sizzle. We're going to turn this down to low. We're going to let it cook for 10 more minutes. The tomatillas are going to cook for 10 more minutes. And then when we return, we're going to do the finishing touches for everything.
Welcome back to the show. Liz had the opportunity to talk to some of the headliners for TNT's new wrestling show, AEW Collision, which is going to be opening a second day of professional wrestling on TNT. Let's go take a look what they had to say now.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Liz, and we are talking to Chicago, everybody. There is a brand new show coming up on TNT, so are you ready for some wrestling? This is super exciting. I have on the phone with me Thunder Rosa and Powerhouse Hobbs. What's going on, you guys?
Nothing much. We're here, excited to be showing Collision, man. What do you think?
New show starting tomorrow night on TNT.
Well, I can't wait. I want to hear about it, but first, Thunder Rosa, what is that beautiful stuff on your face? You look super cool.
Well, this is a sugar skull. I actually come out with this. This is part of my, we call it in wrestling terms, gimmick. This is my character.
Right.
I've been using it for over 9 years, and it's part of my culture. I was born in Mexico, and I utilize this as a resemblance for those who passed away. And I celebrate their life in the ring, yes.
Oh, my heart, you just made me feel so good. That's a really nice homage, and it really looks very beautiful. So now tell us all about TNT. It's a brand new show, AEW's Collision. So why are they going to call, I have an idea in my head why they call it Collision, but
Let's hear that idea.
Well, here's one person, here's the other person. Collide!
Yes, exactly.
Is that right?
Yes.
I love that. So is there a female version and in the men's? Is it two different divisions?
Well, it's not two different shows, but we have the men's division and I have the women's division. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Okay, yeah, I meant within one show. So tell me what's going to take place. I'm assuming ladies first.
Well, you're asking me to answer it first. Well, there's gonna be so much action. So many people are so hungry for success. They're so hungry to make a statement again. And with Collision, this is exactly what's gonna happen. As you can see, Will is one of them. He's I'm not gonna say an up and comer. We're considered up and comers a couple years ago, but we both are former champions, and we want to get back what it belonged to us.
Exactly. I want my belt back. We're headlining a new show starting tomorrow night on TNT. So what I think you're gonna see is a lot more athletes and professional wrestlers that are very hungry and to make a whole new statement.
Well, I think that's exciting. You definitely don't look hungry because you are built, and I think that's amazing.
I'm
He's always
always
hungry.
hungry. I'm ready to eat all
Are
the
you?
time.
How many calories do you take in a day, powerhouse?
think you should ask
Roughly, I probably stopped counting once I hit 4,000. Well, I just eat.
I think it's great, but it all goes to the right places because you exercise, you take care of yourself, and you do an amazing event. And now I can't believe the excitement that the people get from wrestling. I have seen in the stands, they go crazy. I believe probably a lot of other women will have what you have on your face. They dress up, they get involved, and they are super fans. What do you feel when you hear all those screams and the cheers?
It's an indescribable feeling. I mean, I've been out of action for a while now, and I do commentary. So every time I see my peers come out and see every show, every week that the roar gets getting bigger and bigger and bigger, it makes me so happy for them, but it also makes me a little sad because I want to be part of that too. So it's an indescribable, adrenaline energy that you get.
It's like, imagine having 10, 15, 20,000 people having their eyes on you and you're just feeding off this energy. And so, just one look to the crowd, everyone's cheering, booing. So it's
one sign.
It's an unbelievable feeling.
Yes.
See, I think that's amazing because you're feeding off the energy, like you said. And the one thing that I have learned about wrestling is boos are good.
Oh yeah. They are. Especially if you're a heel, if you're the bad person in the show, because that really means that what you're doing is working.
It's good to be bad.
It is good to be bad. I don't mind that at all. But it's interesting. People cheer on whether you're the bad guy or the good guy. And is there anything new that we can expect? A lot of people have seen some wrestling reality shows that were a little candy. So you guys are coming in your powerhouse, and you guys are really getting it on. And I know that, Danielle, you are going to be commentating. And I'm sorry, I just called you Danielle. My apologies.
I was like, oh, you changed my name.
Rosa.
Yes, that's the new thing. That's the new thing you're gonna see.
Danielle
you're gonna
is
see
the
Danielle Rosa,
manager here, and I'm always thinking of her. I want to put her in the ring with you and see what happens.
Whip her butt, that's for sure.
Well,
I'll break her in two.
Well, you're going to be commentating and everything like that, and it's just going to be a spirited event. But is there anything new and exciting that we can expect from this show?
I mean, we don't want to give away the whole show. I mean, we want people to tune in, and just like AEW's done for the past 4 years, we've put our mark on the world of professional wrestling. So it's going to continue to grow. You're going to see, you can look at the sign right behind us, so much talent back there. You see everyone that's headlining. So it's going to be real action-packed.
And the most important part, I think, it's new storylines. And like I was mentioning there's a lot of people that are in our show that have not been in action for over a year for different reasons, and they're coming back. So they're coming back with a new attitude. They're coming back with new storylines, and also with a new vision of what TNT is bringing to professional wrestling, and with Collision, which you're probably gonna see a lot of matches you've never seen before.
Plus, professional wrestling hasn't been on Saturday night
for over 20 years.
for over 20 years. So
Yes.
I grew up watching wrestling on Saturday night. So
You know what? I remember it being on Saturday night, so this is cool. It was always, and then it went to Monday, mostly. But this is so exciting. I love the idea of playing a part. So it's not just two people jumping in and going at each other. There are roles, there are storylines. So I'm expecting some really fantastic storylines from you guys. And the guys that have been out of commission for a while, I guess they've been training really, really hard.
Yes, they have. They're super eager to come back, and I can't wait to see them tomorrow.
I can't either. Are you guys doing weight classes, or are you just doing everybody who wrestles gets in the ring?
Everyone just gets in the ring.
Okay,
It's a
so
collision. It's a collision. We fight.
oh, I'm afraid of you. I wouldn't get in the ring with Powerhouse, but I think this is super cool. I'm very excited. If you're a fan of wrestling, you've got to tune into TNT. What time does the show start, everybody?
8 Eastern time, 7 Central.
7 Central. So we know here in the mountains when to start watching that show. Get some goodies, popcorn, snacks, all the things that the wrestlers don't eat, and we can watch them just go at it. Are you waiting for your belt? I know. Powerhouse Hobbs, do you think you'll get your belt back tomorrow?
I don't.
We can't give it away.
You gotta watch. You gotta watch. You gotta watch. You're trying to get all the tips and secrets and everything, and
Why not?
you gotta watch. You gotta watch.
All right, I'll watch. But you know, I have to try. I have to try and get a little bit of tidbit in there. But I'm really excited for you guys. It's going to be a wonderful show. Brand new, everybody. Thunder, Rosa, and Powerhouse Hobbs. I really appreciate having you guys here on the show with me today.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
having us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. You're beautiful. You're fantastic. Both of you guys. We can't wait. All Elite AEW on TET. It's Collision, everybody. Make sure you check it out, and we'll be back with more of the show after this.
Welcome back to Wasatch Weekends. Tracy has been working on some delicious vegetarian tacos, so let's take a look at how those wrap up right now.
Welcome back. Okay, your potatoes should be a little bit softer. If they need to cook a little bit longer, then let them cook a little longer. But this is one of the reasons why I like to chop them up really small. What we're gonna do now is we are gonna add kind of our liquids, our juices, our binders to make these tacos really creamy and delicious. So you either have fresh tomatoes or you have a can of tomatoes, and at about this time, we're gonna add those tomatoes. If you have the can of tomatoes with juice, just go ahead and put that whole thing right in there because those juices are going to evaporate after you cook them for a little while. So here we go. We've got those now, and that's going to give it some nice juice because we have a little bit more of the crunch from the carrots and from the potatoes, and now we need some juice. Now, I'm really kind of making this easy because I'm just using some taco seasoning just to give it that full-on taco feel and to make it easy. You can, of course, make up your own taco mixes if you want, and if you do want a recipe for that, feel free to email me at tracy@colorfulcooking.com. But these are really nice, and if you can get the less sodium mixes, then they don't have that much salt. So sprinkle that all over. If you have those juices from those tomatoes right now, that's going to be perfect. We're also going to add some refried beans. And this one you do as you want. I love refried beans. I'm going to add the whole jar. But if you're, again, like getting the kids to just start eating veggie meals, or the husband or the wife or whomever, you can add as many as you want. I like the refried beans. They just give it a nice flavor, and they also give it a nice consistency. So once we get those in there, if you don't have those tomatoes with the juice in them, we're gonna have to add a little more juice in here. So fill this up about 1/4 of the way with water and throw that right in there. Once those beans start softening up, then we can really kind of mush everything together. But right now, you're just gonna have to wait for those to soften up a little bit before everything gets combined. Doesn't take long, okay? So there we go. So in here, we have carrots and onions, potatoes, a lot of potatoes, and now we have tomatoes and refried beans and taco sauce. Of course, if you're like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff, you can just do the potatoes and the beans if you want. I mean, you can really do whatever you want. This is a vegetable taco, so you can kind of do whatever veggies you want, and they're all so good right now. Okay. Tomatilla time. This is the best part of this recipe in my opinion. All right, let me get to the oven. Those tomatillas should be bursting now and super juicy. So let's see if they are. Yes, they are. And there's a little caramelization on our jalapeno as well. So here we go. We're gonna take these over here. And now if it's a hot summer day and you're like, Tracy, I am not gonna heat up that oven, you can always cook this in a pan with a lid on it, and they'll still burst and it will still turn out really good. Okay, here we go. I am going to take the jalapeno off for now. Those got nice and roasted up. And then look at this little trick. Here is why we love parchment paper. Look how clean my pan is. And then I can take this and just get all the goodies right in there. And look. You want to cook for your roommate? They don't want to clean? They don't have to, because that's so easy. Okay, what's in here? Tons of cilantro, salt, orange juice, lime juice, tomatillas that are cooked, and onions. So now, okay, do I do the jalapeno? Do I do the jalapeno? Okay, the camera gal says yes, she likes it spicy. She's a vegetarian too, so she's gonna be testing this one. I'm gonna do 1 piece of jalapeno, 2 pieces. The seeds are still in there and they're roasted. I think it's gonna be a kick. I think we're gonna get a little kick from this. Okay, in the blender. I'll tell you what, I bought this blender at Kohl's like 15 years ago for like literally $10. And it's awesome. I love it. And it's lightweight, so I can carry it to the studio if I need to. Okay, so we're just gonna blend this out. Beautiful, or is that beautiful? Like, the green really comes from the cilantro, so the more green you use, the more vibrant the color is going to be. So that's what I like. However, we have been working with a bunch of fresh ingredients, right? We worked with the fresh tomatillas, which are super sour. We worked with the jalapeno, which you never know how spicy it's gonna be. So at this point in time, you absolutely have to test what you made here, especially if you're gonna serve it to other people. So I would say, take a test. Yum, I like it. It's really tart. It's very sour. So if that turns out to be too sour for you, oh, now I'm getting a little of the jalapeno. It's not that hot. We might be able to add more. So this is when you decide what you want more of. If you need a little more orange juice to sweeten it up, sometimes when the jalapenos are way too tart for me, I put in a little tiny bit of honey. I'm not going to do that today, but like I said, I like the tomatillas. They have a sour taste. You're definitely going to get a sour taste here. So now let's move on over to building our tacos, because everything's pretty much done. I like the corn tortilla because we're working with a lot of carbs here, right? We've got the potatoes, we've got beans, and we've got a tortilla. So I'm going to say we're going to go with the corn tortilla and little street tacos, which I did notice might be discontinued from City Market. So if you can't find those, just do whatever tacos you like. Here we go, easy enough. And this is why I like the beans, because then everything just kind of sticks right there together. So we have potatoes, tomatoes, carrots, because those carrots are going to help with a little sweetness, and they cook slower, so they're going to give it a little bit of a crunch. And then we have the refried beans, which are going to give it that nice Mexican kind of flair. And then we have the tomatillo salsa. So let me get that all cleaned up here. Right now we're looking vegan. If you want to add some cheese to it, go for it. But let's add this beautiful green, vibrant sauce. This is also delicious on chicken or pork tenderloin. If you still had some pork tenderloin left from last class, you might like it here. It's still a little warm because it just came out of the oven, so that's nice. Sometimes, you know, if it's cold, it can kind of change the feel of the taco. And then I'm just going to put a couple raw onions right on top to give it that crunch and that bite. Now, a lot of flavors going on here. If you wanted to add a few more jalapenos, you could do that right now, which is probably what I'll do when we get off camera, but I don't need my nose running and start coughing and acting like it's too hot. But this is your basic vegetarian taco. It's super healthy, it's vegan, and I hope you enjoy it. I'm Tracy Miller. I'll see you next time.
Welcome back. As the summer weather starts rolling in, it's more and more efficient that we protect our homes from that heat and help improve our efficiency. A little bit earlier, Maddie had the opportunity to speak to a home improvement expert with some tips and tricks to help us with just that. Let's take a look.
Welcome back to the show. Now we've got a lot of great things taking place, but right now if you are looking to improve your home for the summer season, well then we've got home improvement expert Tom joining me. Tom, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, it's my pleasure.
Now you've got a lot of great things in front of you, and we're going to talk about a lot of things that you can do to your home this summer, especially as we're seeing some kind of wild weather, some warmer temperatures, and just some little tips and tricks to save some money. So let's talk about how people can start to save energy as those temperatures start to rise with maybe controlling their AC unit a little bit better.
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I'll tell you what, if you want to do one improvement that not only saves on the cost of cooling or heating, but also keeps your home comfortable all year long, insulation needs to be that improvement. But you need to select the right insulation for the job. Now, Owens Corning makes a product called Thermafiber Fire and SoundGuard Plus, and it's a mineral wool product. It's made from natural ingredients, and it provides insulation with some enhanced, unusual benefits. First of all, it's fire resistant. And I use this in my house to insulate the first floor of my house. I love that it was fire resistant. I have a 130-year-old house. If you wanted to do an insulation around the shower wall, that would be a good thing to do because it's moisture resistant. Or maybe you have a home office, you want to keep it quiet. Well, it's sound resistant as well. And even in my old house, I was able to fit all this insulation around the pipes and the wires and everything, you know, that's typically in the way, and really build a layer of efficiency. Another improvement is to take a look at your windows. Now, all windows are certainly not created equal. And Pella has the 250 series window, which is a very energy efficient window that will keep you cool in the summer and warm in the winter. And they're all about innovative solutions at Pella. And if you replace your old single pane windows with new Pella windows that are Energy Star certified, you're going to find that you can save between $100 and $600 a year on those energy costs. They're available in double pane. Also in your area of the country, which is very harsh in the winters, triple pane you should consider. Those are the most energy efficient windows possible and really make a big difference in how much you're going to be paying on heating expenses next winter. You can actually recoup 70% or more of the replacement costs when you sell the home. They also have need benefits, like they have something called hidden screen. Hidden screen appears when you want it. You close the window, it disappears. So you always see right through the glass. You don't have the screen, you know, blocking out the light. You keep the bugs out. You don't have to replace the screens or take them out to store them in the off season because the screens just disappear into the window. That only adds about $50 to the cost of the window.
Which these are all great tips and tricks, and especially as we're starting to see kind of the shift in weather right now.
Yeah.
Now, something else that we want to talk about is how we can protect our homes through this weather, because we've seen kind of a weird storm front over the couple weeks that we had prior, and now we've got all these weird little systems continuing to move in. So how can we protect our homes during this wild weather?
Well, you know, if you want to protect your home against Mother Nature, you know, asphalt is the most common roof shingle out there, but it can be weak, especially when you have high winds and things like that. Metal roofs are really the exception. These are very strong roofs that can withstand hurricane or tornado force winds, hail, ice. I know you have a lot of snow, and they also have the highest fire rating against ignition. And they come in many, many styles and colors. So if you want it to look like cedar shake, you got that. If you want it to look like traditional asphalt, you got that. Slate. You want it to look like copper? Or take a look at this one. This is terracotta tile style, like the old clay roofs that you see, the Mediterranean style roof. It's a very heavy piece of metal and does a great job of protecting your home. And they have coatings that reflect the sunlight back out. And in doing so, it keeps it cool in the summer and lowers your air conditioning bills. Plus, my favorite thing to say about metal roofs is they last 3 times longer than asphalt, so you're not going to be replacing them very, very often.
Which I think is really important, and especially when you live in those climates where we do see some harsh weather and maybe quite a bit of snow build up on them.
That's right. It's absolutely right. You know, and let's just talk a little bit about indoor air quality, because in the winter when we seal up our homes and in the summer as well, it becomes more of a concern. And as a guy who spent 20 years as a home inspector, I always think about carbon monoxide. And I don't think enough people have carbon monoxide alarms inside their house. That's important. Number one cause of carbon monoxide deaths is when we have power failures and people fire up portable generators and they run them in an open garage thinking that they're doing the right thing, but that carbon monoxide finds its way into the house. So get a combination photoelectric electric smoke and carbon monoxide alarm. The one I have with me today is by First Alert. It has a 10-year battery, so you get complete protection. 10-year alarms eliminate the need for battery replacement. It eliminates the need, the low battery chirps that kind of annoy you. You ought to have one on every single level of your home. Test it regularly. Replace it once a decade. And also, while you're thinking about it, add a fire extinguisher on every level of the home. So you can find these as well at Lowe's and Lowe's.com.
Of that smoke, like you said, coming through, and so it's really important that everyone is staying nice and safe, and taking care of their air quality is so important, and especially as they're running so many different machines through their house, whether it's their air conditioner, whether it's the heater, no matter what. So thank you so much for all of this great information.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And if you want to learn more, you can go to moneypit.com. And if you've got a home improvement question, we're happy to take them on the Money Pit podcast.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us, giving us all this great information, and for helping us improve our homes.
You got it.
Make sure that you check out all this wonderful information and that you're taking great care of your house. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got more of the show, so stay tuned.
This weather report is brought to you by Sun and Ski Sports, your new mountain sports headquarters.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Wasatch Weekends. And remember, we're here for you every Friday through Monday at 7 a.m. If you missed any of our episodes, you can always catch us streaming on our YouTube channel or at parkcity.tv. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow where we'll check in with some adorable adoptable animals from Nuzzles & Co. And we'll talk to some of the stars of the new Disney Channel show, Villains of Valley View. I'll see you tomorrow.